Next person in chat, apparently, our thing broke and was stuck muted.
Huh.
Apparently,
Gotta be.
apparently it broke and wasn't showing on us talking.
This was being muted. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I need money fast.
We need money fast.
Should you save up for a staff or continue? I say you continue buying for this to get enough of that.
And slowly power up and lock into place. The man panicked and shouted for the machine to be turned off.
Bam the
but his cries
button,
fell on deaf
spam
ears.
the button.
Once fully turned
Bam,
on, the
bam,
machine began grinding.
bam. Should I buy a wall or another potion maker?
Finally grasping the attention of workers who then rushed to stop the machine. But by the time it finally shut down, there was nothing anyone could do. Paramedics and firefighters arrived, but the scene was already unspeakable.
What should I buy? Potion maker or wall?
Potion maker.
Okay. Oh. Silver, come over here. Come over here. Come buy this. Yippee. Now our product won't be going to waste.
Exactly.
Jeez, that was wasting our product. Oh. We need it. We need our products.
Another products.
The young man's fate was already sealed.
Minecraft is...
He was gone in a way too...
Because I remember this is a very long thing to do.
OSHA investigators arrived,
that's the reason why I say we did this on live.
Responders were faced with the grim task of
it's a long game to play. He doesn't have to edit it.
Took an hour for them to complete. The dumbbell incident.
That's why Minecraft's actually gonna... I feel like majority of Minecraft's gonna be like living.
Finished their training, the weights were racked, and the silence was broken only by the clink of iron as a 34-year-old trainer and owner cleaned up his facility. But then, out of nowhere, the calm was
Silver.
3 men walked into the...
There you buy walls.
You have cannons that shoot.
Yeah.
We needed the wall. We don't need... People can still get in, but it's better than not having walls.
Apparently people like when we live stream because we already got 3 views.
I'm one of them, of course.
People must like our live streams and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Get the 300. Save up for that 300. Potion transformer. That's why I say save up.
That's why I've just been watching YouTube.
Yeah. And do you know what's fun? We can't attack each other.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is good because we would be killing each other a shit ton.
By accident.
Are you sure about that?
Probably not, but
It's us, we'd be killing each other on purpose.
The facility, and for some odd reason, an argument broke about between the two parties. As the feud reached a boiling point, without warning, one of the men grabbed a heavy dumbbell and drove it into his face, instantly obliterating
We have
the
enough.
The men began
do I?
Yep.
smashing the trainer's body with dumbbells, striking his chest again and again with each blow being more devastating than the last. The trainer's body was left on the ground, and the place that he had once built to help people improve their bodies and strength
Now we make even more money.
The assailants fled immediately after, but luckily they were caught by the gym's security camera as they disappeared into the night. The man was rushed to a nearby hospital, but the injuries were too severe. Doctors fought to save him, but he succumbed during treatment. Investigators believe the motive may have been personal, a suspected love affair or twisted grudge. Something definitely not worth a human life. Costume malfunction.
Nope.
On October 31st, at a thriving Halloween carnival, a 51-year-old man would step into the bustling streets dressed in a costume of burlap and straw, eager to join the thousands celebrating beneath pulsing lights and music.
Last
But in a
wall.
sudden, tragic turn, the man's night of festivity shifted into pure trauma. The man joined the crowd in an energetic dance, and in the midst of the excitement, he wanted to take a break and light a cigarette. In his attempt, the flame from his lighter caught the edge of his costume's hood, and in an instant, his entire outfit ignited. Due to its material, the costume was extremely easy to burn, but difficult to put out and take off. The man would try ripping the costume off of his body, but its contents had already begun melting into his skin. As for the crowd around him, they at first thought it was a prank,
I have an auto-clicker going.
woven into the Halloween event. It should be noted that most of them were heavily intoxicated, so their rationality and judgment skills were extremely impaired at the time. As the blaze spread violently, it swallowed him whole like a torch. His figure staggered into the mass of dancers engulfed in fire with his arms flailing in a desperate panic. People continued cheering. Individuals were so impressed by the stunt that they had begun to record the screaming victim. Only when the man's screams got louder than the music at the carnival did a few sober witnesses realize what was going on. They rushed in to help and tried to rip off the burning pants and jacket that were now clinging to his skin. People took water bottles from their backpacks and emptied it onto the blaze, while others in the crowd continued chanting, snapping pictures, and dancing to what they perceived as a stunt. When the flame...
Oh, God. Mooney.
But the bad part, Silver, we can still die. People have broomsticks.
Boomstick.
flames finally calmed. He was barely recognizable.
No broom.
Despite being
They can
knocked
fly.
the
They are
man
flighty
ultimately
flight.
passed away from his
There you
wounds.
go, flutter. Now I have a thing stuck in my head.
Quiet Friday evening, a
Flutter, flutter,
39-year-old
flap, flap,
Indianapolis
flap,
man walked into a Planet Fitness on Hardigan Street. He checked in, went about his
Okay.
routine, and got ready to leave after finishing everything he needed to finish. But before he left,
say for
he decided to
700.
make a quick stop in the gym's tanning bed to give his skin a nice finish. It was quick. The man hopped into the tanning bed and was blasted by tanning lights for 10 minutes, left the gym, went back home, and slept happily ever after. Except that's not what happened. You see, the man's car was left parked in the gym's lot it never left, and his family became extremely worried when he didn't return home for a day. One day turned into 3 days, and before you knew it, the truth finally came out. The man struggled with an addiction that I can't mention on YouTube. It's speculated that the man had consumed some of the substance before slipping into the tanning bed. And while the machine
Okay,
tanned
Silver,
his skin,
which one should I
he
get?
quickly realized
Double
that he
broom
had
maker or
consumed
broom
too much
maker?
of the illegal substance. He began convulsing while trying to escape the tanning bed, but it would be to no avail. For 3
Hey, you.
whole days, the man would remain stuck inside with his body
Silver.
trapping the energy from the device's UV lights.
What should
causing him
I
to become
get? Double broom maker or broom maker?
Double broom maker.
Gotcha.
Okay, you know what's funny to me?
What?
If we go into FNAF Eternal Nights, I can scream at the enemies too.
Yep.
figure.
Now you can open the door when they get by.
Discovered his body locked inside of the tanning bed. He had been there since Friday, alone,
I say you
silent,
Silver.
and hidden in plain sight.
What?
Authorities
How
were
much do you-
immediately called when they found him.
I say you save your
By the
money
time police and
for.
investigators pieced it together,
Come get this,
questions were
actually.
everywhere. Why did it take so long
What
for
is it?
someone to find him? Why did
600.
no alarms go off? And was it really just the substance he consumed that caused him to become stuck in the tanning bed?
Now we have a
His
stat.
mother later confirmed he had been struggling with an addiction, but she still remembered him as the kindest person with the softest heart. The hammer. It was supposed to be just another night, until a game turned into a motive for murder. In Russia, a young man was told by his parents to stop staying up all day and playing computer games overnight. His mother took away his keyboard, hoping to enforce some discipline, but unfortunately, his obsession was darker than anyone realized. That night, while his father slept, the youngster crept into his bedroom with a sledgehammer. Yep, he
Okay,
literally showed up
so
with a 20-pound sledgehammer. He carefully
Excellent.
covered his father's
100.
head with a plastic bag to ensure no mess would be
Amount.
made. Then he lifted up the heavy tool and swung it down at his head. He struck him woefully with 6 brutal swings. And sadly, his father would never wake up. Even though it was his mother who took away his keyboard, he decided to attack his father instead because he was afraid that he'd wake up and stop him. After the vicious ambush, he demanded his keyboard back from his mother. He then went to his room, locked the door, and went straight to his computer setup where he would engross himself in an endless binge of gaming for hours until police were called. Thankfully, he was arrested and formally charged for what he did to his father. Relatives described him as reclusive, spoiled, and completely lacking discipline. With his father gone, he had
Yeah, we have
finally
another
believed that he was the
maker.
head of the family, but bludgeoning your father with a hammer so
Wait.
that you can play games doesn't make you into a man. Unfortunately, it sort of makes you the opposite. A 23-year-old mother in Hong Kong would continue navigating her life in an environment tainted by hardship. She was an orphan as a child, and as she grew up, she became addicted to abusing substances and other things. She worked at a nightclub in one of Hong Kong's red light districts, Tsim Sha Tsui, where a 34-year-old mob boss frequently visited her for services. The gangster was known to be extremely dangerous as he had a horrible temper and would often do cruel and unusual things to people who wronged him. One day, after the two met with each other, the mobster would accidentally forget his wallet at the venue. Upon seeing that it contained 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, the woman would secretly steal it to help her own financial situation for herself and her son. The mob boss found out, and out of fear of what he'd do to her, she immediately returned the money back to him. However, he wasn't satisfied. He demanded that she pay an additional $10,000 back to him as an interest fee for her thievery. Obviously, she couldn't meet those requests. On a calm night, as the woman made her way into her apartment after her shift, she'd hear knocks at her door. It would be 3 members of the Triad gang and a young girl who claimed that they wanted to settle the dispute with a more reasonable fee. Also, side note, the young girl seen here is actually
I'm
Mark
gonna go
Walker's
get
girlfriend.
food.
Remember how I said he's 34?
I need
Well,
food.
she's 20 years younger than that. Just, yeah. Anyways, as soon as the woman opened up the door, they ripped her out of her apartment and drove her to a rundown flat on Granville Road in Kowloon. It was there that her final horrific month of torture began. Her captors beat her with pipes, suspended her in the air with wires, burned her with wax and plastic, and rubbed peppery spices into her wounds. Each day blurred into the next. It was a cycle of torment designed not only to punish her, but to strip away at her humanity. Neighbors heard nothing beyond the walls, but within them, suffering was routine. After nearly a month of agony, her body could no longer endure the mistreatment, and she would pass away from the monstrous acts of the gang. Upon realization, the mob boss had his men disposing of her remains in bags and pieces to clear themselves of any evidence. However, in a grotesque and cruel twist, the boss would have her skull boiled clean, polished and preserved, and then stitched into his girlfriend's Hello Kitty plush. Actually, I don't really feel comfortable considering her his girlfriend. I mean, the man's quite literally old enough to be her father. But nonetheless, night after night, the young girl would be faced with the doll as she lived with the mob boss, and he kept it in the flat they were living in. She wouldn't be able to escape the sight of the toy, and as time went on, it began haunting her. She'd start seeing hallucinations and apparitions of the woman's ghost. The spirit would follow her every day, weeping dreadfully. It'd stand by the corner of her bed, staring at her every night, and if the girl ever fell asleep, it'd show up in her dreams as well, and turn them into nightmares. In her words, she said that it kept haunting her while demanding justice. It got so bad that the girl developed insomnia, and for weeks, she'd barely eat or sleep. Eventually, she broke. She ran to a nearby department, and reports from the Kowloon police station say that she turned up at the building shaking violently. As mentioned from witnesses, rather than her saying that she has a crime she needs to confess, the first words that left her mouth were something around the lines of, "I keep seeing her. I can't sleep. Please, she won't stop crying. She won't leave me alone." She was literally traumatized. The girl told police absolutely everything they needed to know, and officials set out to arrest everyone who was involved. The 3 men. Actually, they don't really deserve to be called that. The 3 criminals were all sentenced to life in prison with a 20-year minimum before parole. The young girl was placed in protective custody, and after the trial, it was noted that she was seeing the ghost less. However, she'd still go on to experience nightmares and auditory hallucinations of the woman weeping. The last thing that was heard of her before she was relocated with an identity change was that she was being given psychological treatment and correctional therapy. The barbell incident.
Okay, Lucifer. Okay, what do we need now? I was just watching YouTube while letting my money rack up.
Oh, I'm downstairs gonna go eat.
Oh, lucky.
I don't know what to have.
It was the early hours of a Tuesday morning in St. Charles, Missouri. The gym was entirely silent, and it was the kind of silent that only came when the world outside was asleep. At around 2:50 a.m., a young 23-year-old woman would be the only one in the gym finishing what should have been just another workout. She was a paramedic, the kind of person used to helping people, saving lives, and bringing the injured to safety. The kind of silent that only came when the world outside was asleep. Rack weight onto its barbell. At around 2:50, and then she began squatting it. The only issue was that the weight was too much for her. In the middle of her set, she began struggling. She tried hard to re-rack the weight, but no matter how hard she pushed, the bar wouldn't go up. Then, in an instant, her legs gave out. She lost balance and the heavy bar dropped with no spotter to catch it.
Oh yeah,
And
to
she
share
pinned her down,
screen.
trapping her beneath the crushing weight.
Upward.
And unfortunately, since she was the only one in the gym, nobody was around to hear or see her struggle. For nearly half an hour, she laid pinned and crushed under the pressure of the weight before another gym member finally walked in and found her. But by then, it was already too late. The member tried to help and called 911, but by the time paramedics arrived, they couldn't do anything for her. Her co-workers at the Christian hospital remembered her as vibrant, full of energy, and always lighting up the room with her smile. But that promise, that brightness, was extinguished in a freak accident that lasted only seconds. Even in a place meant for health and strength, danger can hide in plain sight. If you're lifting heavy weights, always remember to bring a partner. There's been a number of times where I've gotten trapped underneath weight without a spotter, but I was fortunate enough to have friendly passerbys help me out. So even if you don't have a partner to work out with, try to work out when the gym is active and has other people in it. May this woman's soul rest in peace. The leg press incident. 8 years ago, in Vadodara, India, a middle-aged man
Okay, viewers, so I just am gonna mainly be doing stuff for the base. But I mainly watch YouTube. So we can get our money
walked
up.
inside of a gym for what should have been a normal workout. He moved from one exercise to another until he finally settled in front of the leg press machine, a piece of equipment built to test and improve raw lower body strength. The man began racking weight onto the machine until it was fully loaded with plates stacked heavy on both sides. Ahmad climbed in, positioned his back against the pad, and began pressing. At first, everything seemed fine. Surprisingly, as his legs pushed the machine, the estimated 1,000 to 1,400 pounds he was leg pressing actually moved. But then came the moment of truth, re-racking the load. He tried to lock the machine and began struggling. In an instant, his legs buckled. The massive weight came crashing down, snapping his left leg backwards with a sickening crack. The gym floor filled with screams as people rushed toward the mangled machine, the horror of the injury plain for everyone to see. But, by some miracle, the man survived. Nonetheless, the leg press still had done its damage. It had left him with a horrible, gruesome injury, and a lesson that would haunt him forever. Don't ego lift. It's not worth your legs. The shake incident. It was the end of New Year's Eve in Wales. An aspiring musician and fitness enthusiast had completed his day and decided to finish the night off by preparing a protein shake to drink. As you could guess, this was something he had done countless times before, but this time he would try something new, because after all, it was New Year's. His friend recommended that he add a specific powder into his shake, and excited to test it out, the man put a teaspoon of the powder into his drink, blended it, and began drinking it. And then, nothing happened. The drink was just a little bitter, and so he sent a text message to his friend complaining about its taste, but other than that, he was fine. Then the man went to sleep to end his night. Unfortunately, he wouldn't live to see the next morning. You see, the powder the man put in his protein shake was just caffeine. But it wasn't the regulated kind that you'd find in your Starbucks coffee. It was pure, raw caffeine. He only put just a teaspoon of it into his drink. which doesn't necessarily sound that bad. That is, until you realize that one of those teaspoons was equivalent to 70 cans of Red Bull, and he just gulped it down in one sitting. The man shot up awake in a cold sweat. Almost immediately, his body began revolting. His heart was pounding violently, his vision became blurry, and his chest began constricting as if an anaconda was wrapped around him. He raced to the bathroom and began vomiting. His system had been overloaded with a stimulant so powerful that there was essentially nothing that could be done to stop it. Within seconds, he collapsed to the ground, hitting his head on the floor and going into cardiac arrest. They called 9. The tragedy was later revealed to be the simplicity of one mistake. The scoop he used to measure the caffeine powder was actually meant for protein, not for a fine, potent stimulant. This incident sparked up a huge controversy over the ethics of making something this dangerous as accessible as it was. Many argued that powders like these shouldn't be sold on shelves if such a tiny mistake could come with such a costly consequence. The death grip incident. The death grip is a risky form of holding a barbell. When you pick up the weight for bench press, instead of wrapping your thumb around the bar and securing it in place, some gym goers remove their thumbs and place them to the side. People say that this way of bench pressing helps them focus on pushing the weight more. Others claim that it makes their triceps activate. Nonetheless, it's a stylistic way of benching that is extremely dangerous. And on a Monday, at a gym in Ankeny, Iowa, a 22-year-old student at Iowa State University would find this out the hard way. The weights clanged, the music thumped, and lifters pushed themselves through the grind. For this young man, the bench press was just another part of his normal routine. It was something that he had done countless times before. That day, he made sure to fully load the bar to 315 pounds in an attempt to beat his PR max. With the plates 3 on each side, this was the kind of weight that demands respect. The man laid back and gripped the bar, but in order to really focus on doing his absolute best in this bench press, he switched his normal grip to a death grip, then unracked it. He took a deep breath, and for a moment, everything seemed normal. But before he could even attempt to bench the weight, in an instant, his grip gave way. The barbell slipped from his hands. The full 315 pounds came crashing down across his jaw, neck, and chest with unstoppable force. The sound echoed through the gym as lifters rushed toward him. Massive internal injuries were already done. His spotter and bystanders fought to pull the bar off, but the damage was irreversible. The man was rushed to the hospital, but despite everything doctors tried, he passed away from his injuries. His coach later said, "He was lifting weights, something I did with him 1,000 times." But that's the cruel truth of the bench press. It doesn't take recklessness, only a second of misfortune. I hit the gym frequently, and I won't lie, I usually find myself using a death grip whenever I'm doing bench press. But the truth is, no lift is worth your life. Always use a safe grip, have a spotter, and never gamble with 300 pounds of steel. The gym should build you up, not bury you. May this man's soul rest in peace. Raise the roof. It was just another Saturday night in Harriman, Utah, a quiet suburb 30 minutes outside Salt Lake City. At a local Domino's, orders were taken, pizzas were baked, and both customers and employees alike conversed with each other.
Since I'm closing tonight, can I get the ox?
No.
Bro, please.
No.
Please.
No! Stop asking me. Just shut up and make pizzas.
My ox is so good, man. Just look. I got Lil Poom, 6ix9ine, Diddy, and Bebopa. Bebopa? Bedoa Budi. I also got Miles, man. Just please, dude. I want to be on ox.
Shut up! Your taste sucks. That's why your girl left you. Just make the f***ing pizzas.
However, amidst all the friendly banter, an SUV tangled in a 3-car accident would veer off its course and smash directly into the Domino's pizza. And as if the crash itself wasn't bad enough, it would also rupture a hidden gas line underneath the building. Within seconds, fire erupted. Bystanders watched in shock as flames consumed the vehicle. Inside, 2 people were trapped. That's when 2 courageous strangers risked their lives, pulling the driver and passenger out just minutes before the SUV was swallowed by the fire. As firefighters rushed in, trying to control the blaze, the building exploded. The blast tore apart the Domino's, sending debris flying into the night sky and causing significant damage to the businesses next door, a Jimmy John's and a Supercuts. Miraculously, nobody was injured and everybody survived. Even the firefighters standing near the restaurant when it exploded managed to walk away unharmed. The Domino's, however, was reduced to rubble. What had been a neighborhood pizza joint became the epicenter of one of Harriman's most destructive accidents. The Mayo incident. It was supposed to be just another quiet evening shift at a Subway near downtown Atlanta, the kind of Sunday where the streets slow down and customers trickle in for a late night sandwich. Inside